Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Excalibur Roundtable Tech Talk. I am Mike Fuson. This is one of our extended Tech Talk series, and I'm joined by Jesse Long from Device42. Jesse, thank you for joining me today.
Yeah, good to be here.
Yeah, well, it's always exciting to get together and talk with you. There's always cool things to talk about with Device42. We could go on and on and on forever about all the great things, but we've been trying to break these things down into, consumable chunks for customers to be able to learn all of the great things about Device42. And we've talked about, discovery and dependency mapping, and all of the wonderful things that Device42 does. But in focusing on looking at our infrastructure discovery, it's becoming more and more complicated to understand your infrastructure because we now have hybrid IT, where for many customers it was kind of a black and white dividing line. They were either on-prem or they were hosted. Then we started having some hosted applications, but that really didn't impact them as much from an IT perspective because these were vendor-hosted platforms. So the vendor was dealing with, there was advantages and pros and cons like there are to everything in having the vendor manage the platform. But now most organizations have a hybrid IT structure because they have some of their stuff in the cloud, whether that be Amazon or some sort of private cloud provider or Azure or a combination of all of the above, as is the case in a lot of organizations. Plus, they may still have on-premise. I look at a lot of our organizations that have security or various requirements. It could be healthcare and HIPAA, or FINRA for financial institutions, or NERC and SIP restrictions in the utility industry, where they, in most cases, still have data centers, but they are leveraging the cloud more for certain things. And so all of a sudden it starts to get complicated because these are no longer physical devices. You can't go, barcode scan them or RFID scan them because they're sitting in someone else's infrastructure from a physical perspective, but they are still part of your infrastructure that you have to account for. And Device42 is one of the great platforms that really looks at the infrastructure as a whole. Really, that hybrid infrastructure can be discovered. Talk to me a little bit about that. What are you seeing out there?
Yeah, I mean, we've stopped saying that we're a discovery tool a long time ago because to say that, just like you said, it's okay, what are you discovering? Is it cloud or is it on premise? So we've been saying that we're a hybrid discovery for a long time, and that's just because of the market and the way things are going. You have to be able to see both. And I think the biggest component to that is, if having all of your infrastructure under one roof and being able to look at kind of hey, this gets to this point and then it kind of disappears into cloud land. That doesn't really work. You really have to be able to see it from endpoint to endpoint and be able to make sense of it, all the way into, is it going through a load balancer in your cloud? Is it, talking through a container that may be sitting in your cloud? Kubernetes, things like that, if you're just looking at one side, you're having to do a lot of guesswork of what's happening between that. So having kind of one pane of glass that looks through all of your discovery, your infrastructure is something that I think that every tool needs.
Well, and then you guys are also able to map those interconnections. And we've talked about in previous episodes in doing the discovery of an application that may be being moved, understanding, well, hey, this thing sits in the cloud, but we have an on-premise application that has some sort of connection to it in some way, whether it's reading from a database that's in the cloud or vice versa. These things, the lines have definitely gotten blurred because we can effectively have things in both places doing things. And we talked about in a previous episode of where clients are doing cloud migrations. They're moving an application into the cloud or moving a set of servers or functions into the cloud. And understanding what all of those connection points are, because some things may need to be updated, some things may need to be deprecated for that matter, because we didn't know stuff was out there. But when you start to look at really what organizations are doing, hybrid is a thing that almost everybody's facing, uh, because it's just in most cases it's not practical anymore to just keep building data centers, like we did back in my day. Jesse's young. I'm the old guy here, where the cloud wasn't a thing 20 years ago. And over these last, I want to say really these last 2 years, it's been a thing for quite a while, but these last 2 years it's really heated up, as we start to look at work from home and everything else. Leveraging the cloud has been helpful to a lot of organizations to make things easier. But when we start to look at being able to discover where things are and how things are interconnected, leveraging a platform like Device42 gives us that visibility. And we've done an episode recently on storage, right? And you start to think about, you could have physical storage, you can have virtual storage, you know, and those, and it's important to know, well, which is which and what sits where and how are things performing and all of these other things. So being able to discover all of these things and look at them, as you said, in the single pane of glass, we can. And one of the great things I love about Device42 is the visual nature of it. Yes,
Yeah.
we've got the screens that'll give us all of the bits and bytes and data on whatever it is we're looking at, but we can visualize how all of these things are connected and interconnected.
Yeah, and I think personally that eventually, I don't think we're going to be a hybrid world. I think it's just going to be a cloud world, way down the road. For now, we do have to kind of, we're transitioning. And another thing that Device42 can do is tell you, hey, does this make more sense to sit on premise or does it make more sense to sit in the cloud? Through that hybrid kind of understanding not only the interconnections, but also how things are performing. Would they better perform in the cloud? Are they best suited to be on premise? So for now, it's being able to see both of those things. You can tell those things where they should be too.
Well, Jesse, as always, thank you for joining me. It's always fun to talk about the cool things that Device42 can do, but also the things that we as organizations are all facing as the world continues to evolve and change. So I look forward to our next venture as we continue to explore Device42.
Yeah, same with me. So nice.
All right, cool. Thanks, Jesse.
All
Well,
right.
and to everyone watching, we'd love to share Device42 with you. Feel free to reach out to the team at Excalibur, and we'd be happy to get Jesse and the team at Device42 and get everybody together and talk about how Device42 can make an impact for your organization. We'll see you all soon.